back in the Tacoma after about a week in the Jeep Gladiator. And welcome back to the channel. That's right, we're back in the Toyota Tacoma after spending about a week in the Jeep Gladiator. Now, the reason being, there's no real big reason. I just split my time between the two vehicles, right? To be honest, I love them both for different reasons. But it's the Toyota Tacoma's turn now, so we're out cruising around, and every time I switch back and forth, you know, I notice the differences between the two, right? I mean, obviously, the Tacoma that I have is a manual transmission. They're both 2020s, and they do have their differences. Some good, some bad. But, again, I do love driving both. Running through the gears in the Tacoma, it just takes me back, I guess, right? Takes me back to my early days when I first learned how to drive, because I did learn how to drive on a manual transmission. It's all that we had, or at least all that we had that I was allowed to drive. So, and my dad wanted me to learn how to drive a manual transmission, which, to be quite honest, I really hated back in the day. You know, I just wanted to drive. I didn't want to have to learn a whole new thing, you know. I wanted to hop in and drive. But anyway, in hindsight, glad that I was forced to learn to drive a manual, because I really do enjoy it today. And I think it's just a more pure driving experience, you know? It makes it more fun. If you love to drive like I do, then there's nothing better than having as much control as possible as you can in a vehicle. And a manual transmission certainly gives you that, you know? And it's just fun to go through the gears. If you're a movie fan, you know, and you watch the Gone in 60 Seconds movies or the Fast and the Furious movies and stuff, you know, they really highlight the manual transmission, right? I mean, there are numerous close-up shots and sounds and stuff as they're running through the gears while they're tearing through town all over the place, you know, being chasing and all that good stuff. But I gotta say, those movies are a little bit unrealistic, right? I mean, most of us that are driving manuals, first of all, we're not running through the gears slamming in like they do, you know. Every gear shift they make is a slam into gear, you know, while they're cruising around. And that sound. They always give you a lot of sound when they're going through the gears, right? I don't know about you, but my manual transmission doesn't sound like that. When I hit the clutch and go into the next gear, it doesn't make that intoxicating thud that theirs do. And I gotta say, I love that. I think those are the favorite parts of those movies for me, is actually running through the gears and hearing and seeing the way that they're shifting. It's pretty darn cool. Not to mention the nitrous oxide that they hit, but that's a whole nother thing. So anyway, big differences between the two, some subtle as well, but you know, I think in driving the Tacoma, other than the manual transmission, it always feels like I'm getting into a heavier vehicle. And it's funny because it actually is, I believe, about 400 pounds heavier, not including what I've done to it with the bigger wheels and tires and all that, but just stock, about 400 pounds heavier than the Gladiator. Well, some might say that's why it feels slower to you. It doesn't feel as responsive as the Gladiator does. You know, I don't buy that. I don't believe that. I don't think 400 pounds really makes that big of a difference. Now, if you take into account the extra weight for the wheels and tires that I have, maybe there is a point there. I mean, my truck is heavier, obviously, than the standard or stock version, which makes it even heavier than the Jeep Gladiator. So maybe that has a little bit to do with it. I don't know. You know, the seating angles are different in here. I gotta say, it feels, and maybe it's because of the dark interior that I have, it feels a little bit more confining inside the Toyota Tacoma than it does in the Jeep Gladiator. The Jeep Gladiator just feels more open-aired, more roomy than the Toyota Tacoma does to me. I don't know, it's not a bad thing, it's just a different thing. The seating angle or position, I guess, you know, my Tacoma is lifted, so it certainly isn't a fair comparison to between a stock Tacoma and a stock Jeep Gladiator. But I do sit higher up, and I do like that a little bit more. I actually like to sit up higher. It's just it's a different feeling. It's cool. I like it. It always puts a smile on my face when I get in this truck with its current stance, because frankly, forever I've wanted a lifted truck. It wasn't until I had my 2018 my red or Barcelona red Tacoma that I ever had a lifted truck. So it's really cool. I like that, even with its little, you know, hiccups and stuff, because obviously when you lift the truck and put bigger wheels and tires and stuff on it, you are going to change things a little bit. It's not going to ride quite as smooth as it did before. The steering's not going to feel quite as smooth, I guess, as it did before. And it's just going to be a little bit different. But for me, it's well worth it. The trade-off is not significant enough once you get the right setup. And if you've watched the channel for a while, you know I went through a set of tires, a set of wheels, and even a different lift before I finally found Nirvana for me, right? And I have. I love the way this thing rides now. Although I will say it's interesting. I think for some reason, depending, and I'll blame it on temperature and weather, I don't know, the truck sometimes feels a little bit different in power, a little bit different in the way that it rides. I don't know, maybe it's in my head, but the only thing I can think that would make any difference, because I haven't changed anything on the truck, I'm not using different gas, I haven't changed the setup, I didn't put different wheels and tires on it, but it does feel different every once in a while. And I know weather obviously will affect, you know, the way a vehicle runs. The more humidity, the hotter the temperature. You know, I think most vehicles like to run somewhere in the 60 to 70 degree range, somewhere in there, I think is about perfect operating temperature for a vehicle. We never have that here, or I should say we rarely have that here. Typically it's 80s. If you get in the 70s, that's a cold day. I'd be wearing a coat. Right now it's 86 degrees here, and going to be in the 90s again, with high humidity, of course, because we basically live in the tropics here in extreme South Texas. So I love it. I love being able to switch between the two. It's great to compare and contrast them. They are different vehicles, of course. They do feel different. They do run different. The only similarity I think between the two probably is they're both trucks and they both have beds. Anyway, I just kind of wanted to get on here, share that with you guys a little bit. It's been about a week since I've been in the Tacoma, and I'll be in it now for about the next week. I usually switch them out every other week. Anyway, leave a comment down below if you have more than one vehicle that you drive and you switch them out occasionally. I'd be curious to know what your experience is and what it's like for you when you jump back into your Tacoma. Also, real quick, if you haven't before and you're interested, check out my other channel. It is RobMotive JT, all about my 2020 Jeep Gladiator. Don't forget to smash that notification bell so that you don't miss out on any upcoming videos. We've got some awesome giveaways coming up here real soon, including that TRD Pro Style grill insert that I'm going to give away when the channel hits 19,000. And we're moving there slowly. Also, if you wouldn't mind, smash that subscribe button on the way out. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. Bye.